Corso and Catone.
I think, well, listen, Mark, listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to?
Presented by Special Sauce Podcast, Studio 42 Design, and Corso Law Group. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you're watching on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you podcast. You can catch us and give us a call. Heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, 24/7. Leave us a message, have a take. We want to choose yours, so 855-313-7287. Got a good one today in Weekly Rewind. We got Bill versus Mac versus Kraft. We're going to unwrap all of that soap opera for you. And in Pat's preview, we're going to have our draft preview. We're going to talk about the offensive line today, break that position down. And, of course, stick around for Catone's comments. You never want to miss that. And in B's and C's, we're going to talk possible first-round matchups as they inch closer to the playoffs. So, gentlemen, happy Easter. Day early.
Yeah, happy Easter. Where's the Easter bunny? I thought you'd be dressed up like an Easter bunny today. Nothing.
Yeah,
no,
well,
nothing.
it's at the cleaners. I spilled some jelly beans and stuff on there and some Cadbury. You like Cadbury eggs? I don't.
No, I do not.
Cadbury eggs, love them. I can only do like one a year.
It's kind of like those other. What are those peanut things? Those orange. Those orange kind of puffy candy things. I like those, but like just one because it's just too sweet.
What, like the Peeps? What, the Peeps?
No, not Peeps, but they're called peanuts. They look like a peanut, but they're orange and they're like kind of puffy.
The circus peanut. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those kinds. You see all that kind of crap around Easter time. Jelly beans and all this other stuff.
What about the friggin' ricotta pies? And the friggin'
Well, yeah.
Who cares about jelly beans?
That's coming tomorrow. My sister makes that, and we call it pizza gano, which is like
my wife made the pizza game this morning.
Yeah, see everybody out. You guys all out there. You guys know this thing. I'm the only person out here who even knows what any of that stuff is. I had a friend of mine come for Easter last year. We put that in front of him, and he's like, "It's just like a quiche." I said, "Quiche? Get out of my house." So, well, listen, let's happy Easter to you guys, everybody. And but I don't know, it's not happy Easter to the Patriots and Bill, Mac, and Kraft. We're mad at them, right? So let's get into it.
A little bit.
Yeah, let's get into it in Weekly Rewind, Joe. Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind. So this week, it's just been a constant drama since the offseason, since actually through the season, end of the season and into the offseason. And this can give Days of Our Lives a run for its money. Days
of Our Lives. You listen, every time you come on this show, you let us know what a dinosaur you are. Days of Our Lives, Joe.
Yeah.
What's wrong with him, Joe?
Yeah. Unless we start talking basketball and he's talking about Jordan, he's talking about the guys that play with him, all those names that nobody's ever heard of, but no, really, seriously, Mark. I mean, this is like, can we play football? I mean, can we get to the business of football, or are we just going to keep going with drama?
Yeah, this organization, let me tell you something. Belichick made the comment the other day, Chris, during the when they had the coaches meetings, they mentioned something to him, and he mentioned about, I got the past 20 years of a track record or whatever. Well, Jesus, this didn't go on the last 20 years. We never had this kind of drama, Chris. It was the Patriot way. What the hell is this nonsense?
Is it that there wasn't the attitude from him, or is the fact that the winning always is the ultimate fix for anything that's going on behind the scenes, right?
Obviously. And I'm gonna say it because I know you don't want to hear it, so that's really why I'm saying it. What the hell? You know what, Joe?
And as the hourglass,
Days of Our Lives music,
and so the hourglass. These are the days of our lives.
God, I'm gonna get off the show. Christ
No, but go ahead, Mark.
sake. Listen, I'm gonna say it, and because I know it's gonna aggravate the hell out of you. It's because number 12 isn't here to hide it all. He's not here to hide it all. Yeah,
well,
I
think the winning hides it all. So if you're
well,
going to equate the
that was
12
a
to the
big
winning, and
well, that's because that was a big part of the winning, Chris. Maybe not
yeah.
necessarily the coach, because you love the coach. He loves the coach.
Listen, I don't get mad.
Maybe
at
it was number 12.
I don't get mad at that. There's plenty of other things to be mad at you about. I don't get so mad at that as I do the naive thinking that he was the only reason that's a whole different issue. He's the whole only reason they won. That's just an insult to anybody who's ever stepped on that football field. I mean, enough. But yes, he was a huge, huge part of it. And yeah, that's the ultimate elixir. I mean, that solves everything is when you win. So, okay, this week, Mike Florio floats that story out there that Mac Jones was shopped. And then Burt Breer of MMQB also kind of backed that up reluctantly and said, with a small s, shopping Mac Jones, that they did that. Past tense, it seems like.
Okay.
First of all, do you think that's true? And two, who put that out there? Who's that coming from?
I think Chris Florio and Breer, I think they get fed stuff from the organization, whether it be from Belichick or Kraft's level. I don't think that's coming from the Mac Jones camp. I think those guys work for the Patriot camp. And whenever the Patriots want to get something out there, I think those guys float that from them. I don't think it's coming from Jones's camp. Everyone's saying, and I heard some people this week say, well, maybe it's coming from Mac Jones's camp. No, Breer and Florio, I believe that's a Patriot camp, Chris. And Reese, those guys are Patriot guys. And if they're saying something, they're probably somehow getting some information from the Patriot camp.
Yeah, it's coming from somewhere. And the other thing too, because of this little pissing contest going back and forth between Belichick and Bob Kraft. I mean, these two are passively aggressively attacking each other in the media. I mean,
yes.
Bob Kraft comes out and gives an endorsement to Mac Jones in the owners meeting, saying, "Hey, we didn't put him in a great position. We tried some things and they didn't work. So that basically tells you he's not going anywhere." And then here comes the story about the shopping him, and also Belichick, when asked about is he your starting quarterback, he wants to come out and say, "Well, everybody's going to get a chance to play."
So that means it's
with all those antics he does,
So that's a QB competition. He's telling you there's going to be a competition between him and Zappy, right?
Right.
That's what that's
so he's not giving his quarterback an endorsement. He's not taking accountability clearly for, he's not just coming out and saying, "Hey, look, I screwed up. We reset the situation and here we go." But Mark, here's the perspective.
He's never going to say that. He's never, ever going to say I screwed up. But you mentioned, Chris, just before that, Kraft saying we tried some things, it didn't work. That's him taking a subtle shot over the bows. In other words, he hired two buffoons, Judge and Patricia, and Bill screwed up. That's basically telling you Bill screwed up. What he did didn't work. Right. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but we're not letting Kraft off the hook either. I mean, we've been saying it on the show for weeks that, hey, look, the buck stops here. I mean, if you wanted to pay Brady, you could have paid Brady. If you wanted Hopkins in here paying him, you can have him. Ramsey, you can have him, right? Odell Beckham, you can have him. So, Lamar Jackson, if you really want him, you can have him. He doesn't want to pay these guys. So ultimately, he's the decision maker. You can say, well, Bill's making the decisions on everything, but you can as the owner. So if you're going to come out and say, I'm revamping this, this was unacceptable, changes are going to be made. Well, Billy O'Brien's not your change, Bob. And I'll say that till the day, till the end of time, that this was already in the works, in my opinion. Belichick was already having this guy come in, and he found those two jackasses to be, seat fillers. But Mark, how about this perspective? When this story came out about Mac Jones being traded, language, I listen to all the little words in what they say, was talking about possible destinations for Mac Jones. When I hear that tells me That you only hear that when you hear an agent talking about my guy wants to be traded and here are the destinations that I want. Teams don't talk that way. They don't operate with that type of terminology. So is this coming from Mac Jones' camp? Does he want to be here, Mark?
I don't know. I don't know, Chris. I don't know. I think obviously there's tension on both sides, right? I don't think Belichick was necessarily happy with him last year, and I don't think obviously Mac Jones was happy with the situation last year. Can things change under Billy O'Brien, and can they become one big happy family again? I don't know if it's possible. Maybe Belichick. I still think Belichick initiated it, Chris, and maybe he said, "You know what, Mac? I don't know if you're going to be my starting quarterback. So, is there anywhere you want to go if I can move you?" And maybe his camp said, yeah, if you can send him to these places, we'd be happy with a move. But I still think it was initiated. If it's even true, I still, Chris, really question whether it's even true. But if it is, I believe it was initiated by the Belichick side. And then a response to that may have been, here are possible destinations we'd like to see us go to, Chris. You're right. That's an agent talking. That's not a team saying that.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Mac Jones doesn't want to be there anymore looking at this situation. Because, I mean, think about it like this. You say, well, in Bill we trust, Yeah, that counts for people that have been in the organization when that was happening. Look, we're going on how many years now? 21.
This year
is going to be what? Fourth year past fourth year past Brady. So a lot of these players weren't right. So a lot of these players weren't around, or none of them were around when all the success was happening, right? To them, it's Bill isn't the best thing. Bill isn't the next coming because we haven't seen it. We haven't. So the only thing he's seen in Bill Belichick is what he did to him last season, right?
Dysfunction. Yeah, dysfunction. I agree, Chris, with that.
So again, with Matt, now I'm going to take if you're asking me Bill versus Mac in this little equation that I put together here, I'm taking Bill's side. One, because I'm an old bastard, okay, who can't stand the millennial nonsense, okay, because I'm old and I don't care. All right, stop bitching
T-Rex.
and complaining.
T-Rex.
Yeah,
T-Rex.
you're already
T-Rex.
better. You're
T-Rex.
no better. But you know what? I'm taking Bill's side. One, because Mac Jones, you know what? You're still in diapers. Okay. You had one good year. You haven't done, they screwed you over last year. And you know what? Mac Jones is a brat to begin with. I'm saying it. I mean, that was his MO coming out of college. That's how he was in Alabama. Trust fund baby, that kind of, however you want to term it. And that's who Mac Jones is. So he, so when things don't go right, he takes a temper tantrum like he did. But I'm quite sure you knew that, Bill, when you drafted this guy, that's the way he was, right?
I guess, yeah. Well, I'm going to address some of what you said in Catone's comments, so I don't want to say too much because
I wonder why
I'm
he's quiet right now.
I'm going to go at some of what you just said because I totally disagree with you, but I don't want to necessarily give too much away. All I'm going to say to you, Chris, is you had even if he's a Ferrari, you surrounded him with 1956 Chevrolets and a 1942 DeSoto for a coaching staff. That's what you surrounded your Ferrari with. Listen, the last year Brady was here, he couldn't win with what he put around him. He gave Mac Jones less than what he gave Brady.
Yeah, but Brady earned that.
Wait a minute. Brady is the greatest who ever did it. That's why. So that's all I'm telling you.
Yeah, but Brady earned acting like a little baby. He earned that for 20 years.
I'm not talking about acting like a baby. I'm talking about what he put around this kid.
Well, no, I get that. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying that putting this kid got put in the doghouse because he actively, openly went out, and then he went outside the organization. And they saying he called Saban. You can't listen. That's insubordination. You can't do that. I don't care. Like that's absurd. You haven't earned that right to do that crap. So in this sense, between those two, I side with Bill, but I have empathy for Mac Jones about what they did to him. So, okay. So at this point, and we both agree, Bob Kraft isn't going to trade this guy. I mean, that's it. He's not going to authorize a trade because he doesn't want to pay another quarterback, right?
Nope.
Unless you're going to go with Zappy, which.
Even if they draft a quarterback, Chris, even if somebody fell in their lap that they're in love with, the guy's probably not playing year one. Maybe he is. I don't know. And I don't know. If somebody fell in their lap that they love by accident because crazy things happen in the draft, would they draft a quarterback in the first round? I don't know. What do you
Someone
think
talking about him talking about Richardson perhaps coming up.
Yeah. If he falls in their lap, do you draft him if he's sitting there at 14?
You know, that's tough. I honestly, I don't know that Mac Jones is the answer long term. Maybe this kid is. So yeah, maybe. Yeah. And then you move Mac Jones. But hey, if they were shopping him, Mark, then there isn't a hell of a lot of interest then, I don't think, is there? So what's the leak say about Mac Jones in that?
I still think if he was shopping him, Chris, if you called Vegas before they signed Garoppolo, they would have spent the money they spent on Garoppolo on other things. I think he would have taken Mac Jones.
Well, we're going to keep following it. We're going to keep talking with Days of Our Lives, all the drama. We'll keep bringing it to you with our opinions. I do have a perspective after talking to head coach Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals. I spoke to him personally, and I do have a perspective about the drama and team building, but we don't have time to get there. Maybe if you talk about something like that, Catone's comments, I'll bring it up. But Weekly Rewind was presented by Special Sauce Podcast. Watch your special sauce. SpecialSaucePodcast.com. Hey, listen, when we come back, I keep hearing.
I don't know what I'm in the middle of over here.
Joe, we going Special Sauce as the sponsor right now?
No, we're gonna go Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, that's what seems like though. Well, hey, look, SpecialSaucePodcast.com. We come back. We're gonna go Pat's preview and talk offensive line and tight end, all that and more. Right after this. Get your jelly beans, Mark.
It's the Special Sauce Podcast. You lacking the sauce. The sauce is good, huh?
This is start out this finance drive. Train them, trust them, and let them lead.
With your host, Marcus Arias.
Okay, so in our Pat's preview, we're going to be talking a little O-line, tight end. Joe, are we ready? Let's have it. I love that. Get geared up every time I hear that tune, right? It tells me it's time for football. And you know what? It's time to put aside the drama for a moment. And let's get to the business of football, right, Mark? So,
yeah.
The draft is coming up in a few weeks, and as we did for free agency, we want to break down a few position groups that we think the Patriots may be looking at. Not everyone, but we want to go through some of these and talk to you. And today, we want to talk a little bit about offensive line, where they might go. They're picking 14th in the draft, and some of the players. And Mark, we're going to talk tight ends a little bit too. But let's start with the offensive line.
Because I'm going to tell you something, because we both think that this is a strong possibility where they may go.
Well, and it's a pretty strong class at the top end. I mean, the first 2 days are pretty strong. And we're really talking mainly about tackle, right, Mark?
Yes.
Because that's. I mean, look, last year Isaiah Wynn, he's out of here. You had Trent Brown, who to me, I keep calling him a slug because he decides when he wants to play and when he doesn't. And then there's not much behind it. Now in free agency, they brought in a lot of depth, a lot of second, third tier guys, special teams guys, things like that. And so I don't think there's, I don't look for them to be doing a lot in the 4th, 5th, 6th round as it relates to tackle. Maybe a guard, a center, something like that. But it's really the top half. And so to me, at 14, some of the names I just want to talk about that would be available day one, first round of the draft. And to me, you're looking at a few guys. Peter Sosnowski out of, am I saying that right? Skornowski out of Northwestern. He's probably the high one in the class. And then Paris Johnson, Ohio State, Anton Harrison, Oklahoma, Broderick Jones, who I think should be in the number 3 spot, out of Georgia. And these are all projected guys to go in the first round. And then you got Daewon Jones out of Ohio State. And that he, possibly in the first round, maybe day 2. So, Mark, out of these guys, first of all, I don't think the kid from Northwestern is going to be there.
No, he won't be. He won't be.
The
2 names, Chris, that the name that I keep hearing could be there at 14 is the kid Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. When you see these mock drafts, Chris, he always seems to be the one who ends up at 14. They think he may be on the board. Tell us a little bit more about him. Would he be a fit here?
Yeah, I mean, he's 6'6", 313 pounds. He is the second ranked offensive tackle. And the thing with him, I think the kid Broderick Jones, and that's a guy I've been liking, as
the kid from Georgia.
The kid from Georgia.
I like him too.
But because I think he's more athletic. But you're talking about Paris Johnson is an athlete too. And traditionally, when you look at tackles, you're not saying, wow, what an athlete. But it's built different today, Mark. This is a guy that his first step, getting backwards, getting side, getting into his drop, okay? You remember last year there was a play where Hunter Henry lined up tight. Mac Jones either didn't identify it, and you had either Trent Brown or Isaiah Wynn kind of step in and let that guy just tattoo the defensive end, just completely annihilate Mac Jones. This is a guy that can recover quicker. This is a guy that if it is a pinch where he's got a pinch inside on the play, can then recover and get outside to at least get a chip. So the athleticism of Paris Johnson is fantastic. He could play left, he could play right, but this is a left tackle. I mean, this guy is a left tackle. He's got quick feet, okay, and he's also strong at getting out on the edge. If you are going to zone run, he's a guy that can get out to the next level and make a block because he's that much of an athlete. So, yeah, I like him too, Mark. I mean,
and I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. The mock drafts that I've seen, it's him and the kid from Georgia. I don't think the kid from Georgia will be there. I keep seeing this kid from Ohio State dropping to 14, and if he does, I mean, you see all these different analysis of who the Patriots are going to take in the first round. I believe if this kid from Ohio State's there, Chris, I think it's a no-brainer. I think Belichick's taking him because, as you said, this kid's a left tackle all day long, right? I think we're wasting our time trying to figure out, well, who are we taking in the first round? If that kid drops and he's there, that's your first-round draft pick. That's just a Belichick's going to take him. He has to, Chris. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Yeah, and here's the thing. For me, if Johnson's not there, and I don't think he will be, I think he's going to go ahead.
Be there either, Chris.
Broderick Jones.
He won't be there, I don't think.
No, I don't. But if Broderick Jones is there, the Georgia tackle,
you take him.
I do. A lot of talk has been made about, well, do you trade out of 14, get down to 20, get
Chris,
another
is he a left tackle?
Yeah. I mean, he's another guy. They call him cat-like reflexes. Again, these guys are athletes. These guys can move,
The opposite of what we were.
Right. This guy's 6'5", 311 pounds, and so and some people have Anton Harrison ahead of him, but slightly. Now this guy, in some of the draft projections, Broderick Jones is dropping into the early 20s. I see.
No.
But I can't imagine that happening. Look, if he's there at 14, I think you got to take him because he's a left tackle that can play there. Same things. I get the same breakdown as Johnson, really. I think that Broderick Jones is a little better of an athlete. I do. I think he's a little quicker. I think he's got a little quicker feet, and I think his drop would be a little quicker, a better feet, I guess is my point.
Okay.
But I think Paris Johnson is a little better when you get him out on a screen or something like that. So that's who if he's there at 14, I'm taking him. But Anton Harrison, Mark, this is a guy I wanted to ask you about because he's been gaining a lot of ground.
Where's he from, Chris, again?
He's from Oklahoma.
He's the Oklahoma
He's
kid, that's right.
6'4", 315. These guys are all similar in size.
Mhm.
He's definitely a left tackle for sure. This is not a project you bring in to play right and then kick him over the left. The issue becomes this: is Trent Brown going to be okay with putting? In other words, is the Patriots going to just put whoever they draft at right tackle?
I think it depends who it is, right? If you get the kid from Georgia or Ohio State, Chris, I think very conceivably they could be your day one starter, and Brown kicks over, and now on the left side you got a rookie tackle on the and you have what's his name from last year, the guard that we drafted from last year, right? That would be your starting left side. Strange. That would be your, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now you worry about Trent Brown being a big baby. That
Yeah.
He's not going to play left tackle, but again, because he's going to want to make more money. This is his last year?
This is the last year of his contract. So, and if he wants to try to squeeze anything out of a couple more years of a contract, you're right, Chris. He's going to want to play left tackle.
Right. And that's so now he'll check out. He'll completely check out on them. So again, that's something to be looking at, but they shouldn't be. You draft one of these two guys, he's your left tackle, and he's your left tackle for the future. And now you got another guy on a 5-year deal if you take him in the first round, where you're not paying him. And you're not paying left tackle money at that point. So you should be able to spend in other places, right?
And the thing that you said, Chris, that I think makes a lot of sense too, is I don't think this is a draft where the Patriots in the 4th, 5th round. I don't think you need to add tackle depth. I think this is a draft where maybe you try to catch lightning in a bottle with a wide receiver, or maybe it's a defense, a corner or something. You don't need to add offensive line depth, because I think you did that by all these guys you brought in free agency and some of the guys you re-signed. You didn't bring no top end guys, but you brought in those depth pieces. So you're right, Chris. That alone should shape your draft. If you get a tackle in the first round, you're done with tackle. I think in this draft, you don't even look at another one.
Right. And the only other two to look for are DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State, and to me, Darrell Wright out of Tennessee, and Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. These guys maybe day 2, day 3, probably day 2 players. So those guys to look at. And Mark, you're right with the depth and what you do later in the draft. And then that could be a tight end, couldn't it? That you're picking out there instead. And so what do you see there? I mean, what's our need there, and where do you see them trying to go?
So Hunter Henry's a free agent at the end of this year. He's got 1 more year left on his contract. Do you try to extend him? I don't know. I mean, he's put up okay numbers, but he hasn't really, given us, I don't know. He's all right, right? And you only got Gesicki for a year, Chris. He's on a 1-year contract. So I definitely think you need to look towards tight end in this draft, right? Maybe you can pick up a veteran, or maybe you extend Gesicki if he gives you good numbers this year. But I think this is a draft where you need to look tight end, okay? I don't think you're going to take one. You're not going to take one in the first round, but you do need to look tight end. At the top of the board for tight ends, everybody loves the kid Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, right? He's 6'4", 265. As I watched tape on him, Chris, right? I watched a lot of tape on him this week. He's not Travis Kelce. He's not Kittle. He's not Gronk, okay? So anybody who thinks he's a first-round pick, he's a guarantee to be, he's not. I don't see him as one of those guys, Chris. He lacks that long speed down the field. I don't see him as a separator, right? Does he get open? Yes. Does he have a catch radius? Yes. Can he go up and get the ball? Yes. But he doesn't have what those guys have, Chris. He reminded me when I was watching the tape a little bigger, but he reminded me more of like a Jason Witten to me, right? That's a
great analogy right there.
Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with Jason Witten. But he's not Kelce, he's not Kittle, and he's not Gronk, Chris.
Yeah.
Right? So even if he was there at 14, which he probably will be, I don't know if he will be, but if he is, I'm not taking it. Because a couple of mock drafts, I saw him being drafted by us. I'm not wasting the 14th pick in the draft on this kid. I'm not to draft the Jason Witten type of a tight end, because that's what I believe he's going to be. Very productive, may make a couple of Pro Bowls, don't get me wrong. And Chris, I love to dissect the tight end group. That's who I see this kid becoming, a Jason Witten.
Yeah. So third, second, third, fourth round.
So
I mean, is
I'm
anything that
thinking,
you
Chris, and then there's some other guys like this kid from Oregon State, this Luke Musgrave. He may go in the first round. He, I believe, is the best all-around combination of size and athleticism in the draft, even more so than Maya. And if you're looking for somebody that comes in that can stride away from a defensive back, he's 6'6", 250, Chris. This kid from Oregon State can do it. He's this kid. Now, this kid, if he was there in the second round, he drops, I draft him. The kid
So
Luke
this would be
Musgrave
like
from
an
Oregon
Andrews
State.
situation.
This would be like an Andrews situation. If Musgrave drops to the second round, run and take him because the kid's going to be an all-pro, Chris. I think he's the best all-around combination of size and athleticism in the draft at the tight end group.
So, yeah, I
Now,
mean, it's a position in need. Go ahead.
Two guys I want to throw out there. If they're there, probably third rounders. Both, I think, have a shot to be really good tight ends in this league. The kid Donnell Washington from Georgia, Chris. He's 6'7".
I like him. I liked him during the season, too.
Chris,
yeah.
he's 270, 268, 270. He's like having another offensive lineman out there, okay?
Yeah.
But not only that, Chris, he can get away from you in space. His catch radius is enormous, okay? In the red zone, Chris, he's a monster in the red zone. If he's on the board in the third round, you got to take him. You have to. If you're a Patriot, you need tight ends.
And it's a good compliment to one of the other two guys that you may keep, Hunter Henry or Gilsecki, that are more receiver type guys. And then you bring that guy in to be your bigger, put him on the end of the line. He could do more Gronk-like things for you, I guess.
Yes, he absolutely can do more Gronk-like things. And my sleeper of the tight end class, Davis Allen from Clemson. Chris, he takes 50-50 balls. He turns them into 80-20 balls. Yeah. The kid just goes up, gets the ball. In the red zone, Chris, he may be the best red zone tight end in all of college football. He's that good in the red zone. But Clemson struggled this year offensively, so he didn't get as much publicity as he should have because of that. And don't be surprised if Belichick goes back to Michigan and takes Schumacher like in the third, fourth round. The kid's 6'6", 250. This kid can block. He's got natural receiving skills. Another kid, Chris, Schumacher and Allen are my two sleepers. If I can get either one of them in the late third round, fourth round, I'll be happy. But the best tight end in this class, Chris, in my opinion, the kid from Notre Dame is going to go first. Musgrave from Oregon State, if he's there, Chris, early second round when you pick, he's a steal. Draft him.
Well, listen,
what do you
not
think,
too many.
Chris?
Listen, I agree, and there's not too many people I know that know tight ends and break down tight ends better than Mark. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to offensive tackle because these are things that are of need for the Patriots moving forward. And we're going to break down more positions in the next coming weeks leading up to the draft. I want to hear from you in Heated Hotline. Let us know who you think, if you have anybody on your board that we're not thinking of. So Pat's preview was presented by Special Sauce Podcast. What's your special sauce? SpecialSaucePodcast.com. Hey, when we come back, buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
It's the Special Sauce Podcast. You lacking the sauce. The sauce is good,
Easy to start out this finance dry. Train them, trust them, and let them lead.
With your host, Marcus Arias. Tune in to Special Sauce Podcast, wherever you podcast. What's your special sauce? Time for Catone's Comments!
I have a couple of things that I want to address this week in Catone's Comments. And yes, it has to do with the Patriots. It absolutely has to do with the Patriots. We're getting close to the draft. We're talking about Patriots. It's got to do with the Patriots. First of all, if I hear one more person, and I'm going to throw Mr. Chris Corso in the mix in this conversation, because he's one of them. I include him when I mention this group. If I hear one more person tell me it wouldn't be a bad idea if Lamar Jackson comes here. Listen to me. I don't want Lamar Jackson, if it was for free, I don't want him. He's not an NFL championship quarterback. You could surround him with the best weapons in the NFL. He can't make the throw. What are you going to do with him? What are you going to run the option all day? Going to run RPOs all day long like you did with Baltimore. There were a couple of years early in Baltimore. He had receivers. He can't make the throw. He can't hit him. He can't make the throw. What do you want him for? Who's he recruiting? Oh, he's going to recruit guys. That's their favorite line. Chris says that. Oh, he could recruit guys. He's a name. Who's he recruiting? He can't get him the ball. What does it matter if you got Hopkins and Beckham? He can't get him the ball. What are you going to do with him? You're going to run RPOs? But before you know it, that locker room will be a shitstorm with Beckham and Hopkins because they're not getting the ball because the quarterback can't get him the ball. So, I'm listening to the flagship this week. Felder keeps saying Lamar Jackson. Who the hell wants Lamar Jackson that knows anything about football? That's why he's still on the market, because Harbaugh knows what he is. He don't want him. Harbaugh's not giving him the extension he wants. Harbaugh wants to draft a young quarterback. Let him go. If somebody's dumb enough to give you 2 first-round draft picks for him, that's a steal. Harbaugh would run laughing running up and down the street, laughing if some moron organization gives you 2 first-round draft picks for him. He's not a championship quarterback. He's never going to win a Super Bowl. The only way he wins a Super Bowl, you mark my words, is if he's got a defense like the 86 Bears or the 01 Ravens. And he ain't going to find a team with those types of defenses because that's what he needs to win. Because he's not going to – the league has changed. You need to score points. He's not going to put those points up to beat Mahomes and Burrow and those guys. Forget it. So don't bring up Lamar Jackson to me again. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You don't know anything about football if you're bringing up Lamar Jackson. He's a name. Big deal. He's a name. He's not a winner. What's he ever won? Nothing. Mac Jones, I'm just going to put this to bed and I'm not going to bring it up again. Listen, Mac Jones is a crybaby. He's not a crybaby. The kid's a competitor. He's a winner. Every place he's ever played, he's won. High school, college. He's a competitor. You surrounded him with a bunch of imbeciles last year. Guys who shouldn't even be in the goddamn league coaching. And Kraft allowed Belichick to do it. So did the guy get frustrated? He absolutely got frustrated. Did he call Nick Saban? Yeah, he called Nick Saban to say Belichick's a moron. That's why he called him. To tell him Bill Belichick, he's a Hall of Fame coach. He's an idiot for putting those 2 guys on the field with me to show me how to coach. They don't know how to coach. What are they teaching him? He learned shit. The kid went backwards because you surrounded him with 2 guys who had no business being on the field. And Kraft needs to show some beans and tell Belichick, get the hell out of here. I want a young, energetic coach who can innovate. It's called innovation, Bill. It's called innovation. It isn't 1986 anymore. But you haven't figured that out yet. Because guess what? Number 12's not here. So number 12 bailed your ass out for the last 10 years. The last 10 years, Bill, it wasn't about you. It was about number 12. I'm sorry to break the news to you. And guess what? We have now figured that out, haven't we? So I'm going to put it to bed now. I'm not talking about Mac Jones no more, and I'm not talking about Lamar Jackson anymore. They're mute points. That's the final word. It's over. I don't want to hear it. That's it. Please.
Joe, did he just say that I know nothing about football? Did I hear that?
I said if you think Lamar Jackson, if you think Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl, then yeah, I'll put you in that category because he's never winning a Super Bowl, Chris.
Have I ever listen, jerk?
Listen,
have I ever said that to you that I think Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl, throw the edges?
I didn't mention you was in that category. I said those of you who think he can win a Super Bowl. The only way he's Super Bowl is the 86 Bears, 01 Ravens defense. That's the only way he's winning a Super Bowl.
I agree with you on Lamar Jackson. I didn't say I want him here either. What I said is, is he an immediate upgrade for the next? Look, is he an immediate upgrade to Mac Jones over the next 2 to 3 years? Yeah,
no.
Probably now.
No, he's not.
Probably because of
the. If you bring in weapons, Chris Jones is better. If you bring in weapons, because Jackson can't make the throws.
I understand, but for the type of offense that Billy O'Brien brings to the table, for the athleticism that Lamar Jackson possesses for the next couple of three years, yeah. But long term, no, absolutely not. And no, I don't want to pay this guy. No, I don't want to do it. Yeah, is it a shot in the arm and immediately and a big, makes them to everyone else relevant right now? Yeah, okay. But no, I don't want that either. And I think, I say I'm on Belichick's side as it relates to Mac Jones, as far as, the kid stepping out of the organization. No, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. And no, I'm not a fan of I'm okay with bitching and complaining. I'm okay with getting in guys' faces. But when this guy does it, he seems like a little brat when he's doing it. It's like the attitude. It's like the way he does it just turns me wrong. I don't know. I don't know. That's that whole millennium thing. But Mark, no, I think he's going to be here. And I think if you give him weapons, I don't think Mac Jones is going anywhere. I think if you give him weapons, I agree with you. I think he'll be a lot better. Do I think he's on the level of Allen and Burrow and even Lawrence? No, I don't think he's ever going to get to that level. I don't think Mac Jones is going to get to that level. Now, do you need him to? No, probably not.
No, but
you
Chris,
don't need him to.
But Chris, there's who in the league is, there's 3-4 quarterbacks that are much better than everybody else, right?
Right. And there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that are winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else is winning the damn Super Bowl?
You're exactly right.
I mean, is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for these banners, or what are we looking for then?
And that's the bottom line.
Again, so if you're gonna have to put a good defense behind Mac Jones too. But Mark, here's the thing. I don't condone stepping outside the organization, no matter who it's going to. I don't care. But is this another one? And this is where I'm going to agree with you as far as the archaic dinosaur way that Belichick thinks. He's famous for wanting to light a fire under somebody's ass, for pushing somebody, basically saying, I'm going to make this kid hate me because that's going to fire him up to a point where he's going to play out of his skin. I did it with Brady. I did it with, other guys on this team. And I'm going to make him I'm going to make him just to spite me play well. That's really not understanding today's athlete, is it?
No, it's not. No. Nope. Do
you think that's what's happening?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know totally, but probably a little bit. He's probably playing. I'm sure he's playing mind games with him a little bit. Absolutely. That don't work anymore, Chris. Those days are gone. These athletes don't. That isn't what that's gone.
Because the athletes now will just say, trade me.
Yeah. And from what we said at the beginning of the show, you think that could have possibly already happened because you think some of this could have came from Jones's camp.
It's a different game today when you're building a team. Do we have time? Can I tell you this quick story about Zach Taylor?
Yes, absolutely.
I know it says Catone's comments. I don't want to upset you. He's already told me I don't know what I'm talking about today.
I didn't say you. See, you don't Joe, he didn't even listen to my Catone's comments. I said you want Lamar Jackson here.
I'm including Chris in this mix, he said.
Yes, that want Lamar Jackson here. You just said it. You would take him for 2 or 3 years, did you not?
God, I thought we were friends. No,
so that's what I'm talking about.
When I went to a coach's clinic a couple of weeks ago down in U of A, and some of the speakers were Brian Billick, Mike Smith, Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, was there. Cam Acord, by the way, the special teams coach for the Patriots, spoke with him quite a bit. We'll talk about that in a different show. He may come on. So when listening to Zach Taylor, and he was talking about how he builds his team. And real quick, he basically it's a harmony situation. The coaches today, the newer coaches, don't look at themselves like higher than the players. They see themselves as an equal part of the team, one component of the entire team. And so they look at themselves on the same level as the players. They demand things. They have a job to do. They have their position in their lane that they stay in. And that's how coaches see it. He talked to me a lot, and he and I spoke for about 15 or so minutes one-on-one, and talking about it's about us trying to get these guys to buy into a team atmosphere. They play, they do their drills, and at points of the week they they do some games. They make little competitions. Who's going to catch a punt? Put two guys against each other doing whatever that they don't normally do. Have families come in for family day. This is how teams are built now, and they're responding in Cincinnati.
Chris, we're not built like that.
No, they're responding in Cincinnati to these things. Obviously, look at the success they've had since he's gotten there.
Yeah.
So is Belichick is just missing the mark then?
Yeah, but Chris, the owner's missing the mark too.
Well, the owner's missing the mark. He's,
No, Chris, because I think Kraft is in another era too, right? To be nice, I think he's in another era, and listen, I don't know, Chris. I just think over the next year or two, like you said at the end of Catone's comments, Chris, what do we want here? Do we want to win a Super Bowl? There's only 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league that are going to win a Super Bowl. Is that what our goal is? Or we satisfied making the playoffs and getting our ass kicked? I don't know.
Sounds like just the playoffs and breaking Shula's record right now. So
yes, yeah,
we'll see. Mark's, I can't disagree with a lot of what you're saying, Mark. I really can't. I am in your corner on Lamar Jackson. So Catone's comments was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, corsolawgroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk some B's and C's and playoffs right after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to corsolawgroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. Hey, we're inching closer and closer to the playoffs, Mark. Celtics have 1 game left. Bruins have another week left. Let's talk B's and C's. Joe? I'm going to miss that wash. I'm going to miss that tune. I wish the people on iHeart, and I wish people on the radio could see the graphics and everything Joe put together, because it's such a, we're going to miss that when it goes away. And that's going to be happening soon because, hopefully not too soon, because the playoffs are starting, another week or so. The Celtics have 1 game remaining. They just beat the ever-loving crap out of Toronto again last night with some backups. And then the Bruins have about another week left. So let's talk Bruins first, Mark. I'm always leaning to talking Bruins first because, to me, they seem to be the better team out of the two right now, to me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that.
So when we talk about going into the playoffs, they still have things to play for. There's a lot of debate out there whether or not they should be going for this record, the 133 points, getting to 63 wins to break the record. 62 is the record right now. And what are they? 1 away, 2 away now?
I think 1 or 2, yeah. Yep.
So, and they're still playing the guys. We talked about it last week, what our opinions are about it's time to ramp up. So looking at first round possible matchups, okay. And I have some stats here, some things to talk about, but the possible matchups could be Florida, the Islanders, Pittsburgh. Really, those are really the 3 teams that they could see. And so who do we want? I mean, I can give you the records of the season so far with these teams. And so right now, the record against the Panthers is 2-2. The Islanders 3-0. Pittsburgh is 3-0 as well. So
if you're just looking at that, you don't want the Panthers, right?
Yeah, I don't want I'm not a fan of the Panthers because I don't put them where Carolina is necessarily, or
No.
even Tampa, but I put them
They
closer.
play it. They seem to
people
play
say
a similar
Toronto would be
style,
more,
right, Chris?
Yeah, people say be more worried about Toronto than Florida. Florida brings something to the table that I don't. It just makes me nervous because they do play a similar. I just think they could get in, muck it up, get physical with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the results of the 4 games. I mean, it was a 5-3. It was like split back and forth. The first win was 5-3. The loss was 5-2 against. Then the Bruins wiped the floor with them 7-3, and then lost 4-3. So, kind of a mixed bag there. They have trouble with this team. And then there may have been some injuries, but Boston's been pretty healthy all along. I mean, they've had their guys throughout the
Chris,
playoffs.
Florida
bothers me
is
a little.
Chris. Florida is a series where, like I say, this is my thing, Chris, with hockey in the playoffs. A goalie stands on his head. They could win a few games and make it interesting, right? If they get a hot goalie that's starting to stand on his head and making ridiculous saves, right? And all of a sudden they steal a game they're not supposed to steal, maybe on the road. And now what? Now things get interesting, right? So you're right, Chris. I'd much rather see Pittsburgh or the Islanders in the first round, only because, as you said, Chris, as you move further along, you're probably going to run into a Carolina or a Tampa Bay. So you don't want to be playing those teams, those types of style teams through the entire playoff run. So the longer you can avoid having to get into one of those muck it up type of series, the better off I think you are, right, in the long run, because it saves you energy-wise too. I don't think playing Pittsburgh or New York, you're going to really have to, it's not going to be too physical. You're not going to get banged up and bruised up. I mean, you come out of that Florida series, Chris, you're going to know you were in a series. Even though you probably beat them, you're going to know you were in a series.
Yeah, and the other thing, when you look at the goals against, when you're looking at let's take, because I have 3 games with Pittsburgh, the Islanders, so we'll take and 4 against Florida, but we'll take the first 3. So against Florida, you're allowing 11 goals against Florida. So you look at the goaltending with Mark's point. Against Pittsburgh, 9, and against the Islanders, 6.
Yeah.
So to me, just looking at the goaltending, if that's what we believe, then it would be the Islanders that you would want, that they would match up the best. I don't want to go against hot guys too. The captain in Pittsburgh there. These guys can get, they can get hot. You go against the hot line, but and the Bruins have Taylor Hall coming back now, so the line should be, he's going to fit in. When we talk about where's he going to fit in? Is he going to fit in on the second line, on the third line? I think
and maybe Chris, it's playoff time. He gets rejuvenated and can give you something, right? Because it is playoff hockey. You never know.
Yeah, because to me, the top line is the top line. We know Bergeron, Marchand, Jake DeBrusk. And then you're looking at the next line down. You're going to have Krejci centering Pastrnak. And now who's on the other side? Is it going to be Hall? Is it going to be Bertuzzi? Right? So it could be either one of those 2 guys. Then when you drop down to the third line, right, they're just loaded, though, this team. And you got Zacha, Frederick. You got the combination, Zacha, Bertuzzi, maybe Hall, Frederick, Hathaway. Well, I would see Hathaway on a 4th line. So then you drop to the 4th line, Coyle, Hathaway. Now you choose Foligno. There are some other guys that you're going to have to make choices on, whether or not, between Foligno, Hall, Hathaway, Greer. Greer's another guy that's been playing pretty well and physical out there. So it's nice problems to have, right?
No, it is. Absolutely. Listen, this is the deepest. I mean, in years past, Chris, we've talked about the Bruins. Okay, you got 2 lines and now what? This is the deepest they've ever been. So, and you need that depth, that line depth to make to win a Stanley Cup. And I think the Bruins have that this year, because that's something we've always criticized them for. Okay, you got 2 lines and then what? And then you get beat up the rest of the time because you got nobody else you can throw out there. That's changed this year, and that's obvious. That's why they're very close to breaking the wins record, right? So, again, Florida. And listen, they should be. Listen, they got the best record in hockey, Chris.
They should beat any of these teams.
Yes, they've been the best team in hockey since day one, and they should beat any of these teams. But if we want to talk about styles, you'd rather not face Florida in the first round, right?
Right. And defensively, I thought Grizzlick would be the odd man out instead of Forbort,
Yeah.
but I think due to injury and issues, I think Forbort's going to be that guy that's the odd man out, and I'm pretty happy with their line there. So, and flipping to the Celtics, Mark, and looking at their now that they're closer to understanding who they're going to play because there's one game left. There's this weekend, and then we go now after the Toronto win last night. To me, the teams you're looking at right now are it's going to be. Miami and Atlanta are going to be in that play, and it's going to be between those two teams, right? And this season, they against Miami, they were 2-2. They were close games, both of them. And against Atlanta, they're 2-0 against Atlanta. Toronto, it was
listen, Chris.
There were a couple close games with Toronto's. I think Toronto's out of this now.
You don't even got to finish. I don't want any part of Miami.
Yeah.
Playoff Jimmy Butler shows up. Right, the other kid starts shooting. The other kid from the outside. You saw last year, Chris. They took us 7 games. I don't want any part of Miami. I just don't like the matchup. I don't like playoff Jimmy Butler. He shows up. He's anybody but Miami. I don't want to play them because, like you said, Chris, it seems that we're taking nights off. Right? You said it a couple of weeks ago. Depending on the first round matchup, you could see this team go home early. It wouldn't shock you. Right? I don't want to see Miami.
Second round, I think. First round, but I get you. The point is they're laying down for the teams that aren't good. Good. And they're getting up for the good teams. So, yeah, Miami's scrappy. I mean, they got a good coach, a real good coach who will outcoach Missoula. He will, Spoelstrom. And that if that matters, if it matters, coaching matters to you, that'll make a difference. So, yeah, I'm with you. Now, look, we should beat any of these teams.
We should.
I mean, when you're the team like the Celtics are, you shouldn't be looking at that same.
Chris, it should be Milwaukee, Boston to go to the Western, to go to the finals, right?
Yeah,
if it's
next
not
week
Boston,
when we talk, I'm going to disagree with you on that next week. When we talk about it a little bit. I because of the Middleton issue, the knee injury. Well, I feel like the Knicks are going to get through.
Is he out though?
Well, he's nursing it. I don't know if he's going to be out or not, but he's not 100%. And I'm telling you something. Keep your eye out for the New York Knicks upsetting the Milwaukee.
Okay.
It could be. That's a team that's hot too. So
could be.
To us, that's the first round, the first round matchups, those possibilities and what we think may happen. So stick around, keep let us know in Heated Hotline what you think, and we'll keep covering this. We're going to, as we get into the playoffs and deeper in, but with the couple of minutes we have left, we want to finish up on NCAA ended. UConn is the champion. Mark had them. I will give him props. He had UConn going and winning. So Mark, wrap it up.
Listen, we talked about it before this started, Chris. The week just before it started, I said to you this was not going to be a tournament where the Blue Bloods were going to win and dominate. And that's exactly what we saw, Chris. I said I thought UConn could win the whole thing, and I liked them. And of course, I'm a Big East guy. But listen, there was no Duke, no Kentucky, none of the Blue Bloods, right? Kansas, all knocked out. And, I thought Alabama would be there against UConn. I thought UConn would beat them, but I thought Alabama would go further. But with the transfer portal and the NIL money, college basketball has changed. So I don't think you're going to see teams necessarily like Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina. Yeah, they're going to still always be good. But you got look at the Final Four. You had Florida Atlantic. You had San Diego State. There are other teams now that can very quickly put a roster together and compete. It's good for college basketball, and I think it was a great season. However, I will say this. UConn now has tied Duke for national championships. UConn, this week, there's talk of, hey, UConn may be becoming like a blue blood, right? I mean, they keep winning championships over there. They're slowly rising through the ranks of how many championships have you won? Well, UConn's getting up there, right? But college basketball, just quickly, with the transfer portal the way it is now, and you can play immediately, and NIL money, college basketball is as exciting, Chris, and open as it's ever been. You know what I mean? It's not like it was. And I think it's good for the game.
It is good for the game. So New England, you got a champion. You have a champion in UConn. Congratulations to the Huskies, 2022-23 NCAA champions. Hey,
Chris,
listen.
your son had UConn going a long way too, didn't he?
He did. He really did. It saved him.
Yeah,
It saved
your
him
son
from
did.
that bet that he had. They had to get their ears pierced. That was the bet. The loser had to get their ears pierced. So
Oh,
he
your
avoided-
wife would have loved that.
He avoided having to do that. So good stuff, Mark. Catone, Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, corsolawgroup.com. Listen, get on, watch all our shows. They're up for you. Subscribe, give us that thumbs up. Come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball. We'll get into the NBA and NHL playoffs where we'll know the matchups, hopefully, at that point. Catone's comments, heated hotline, anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Find Corso and Catone on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you podcast. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Corso and Catone, and catch the chaos at 7 p.m. on Saturday.